Welcome to this webinar provided by the Value First University. This is only one among multiple webinars for who is interested in becoming a great pre-sales engineer. And today we'll talk about the importance of a pre-sales engineer in strengthening relationships. If you don't know who I am, my name is Humberto and I currently work at Google as a solutions engineer. In my spare time, I advise many startups in Denmark, United States, Brazil, and Italy. My background is primarily in software engineering, but I always had a passion for business and communication. That is how I got into the solutions architecture area. Some well-known companies I worked for are Microsoft, Twilio Segment, P&G, and Nestle. In terms of academic experience, I graduated in advertising and later I post-graduated in statistics. But one thing that will never change is that I'm always learning. I choose to work for companies and with people that challenge me every day. Formal education is important, but self-learning can be even more. When I learn something new, the best way to make it stick is to teach that skill to someone else. In the process of teaching, you will also learn how to empathize with your audience, which in turn makes you a better listener. Very often, the companies that I worked for have asked me to build learning programs. Sometimes I was the person teaching my colleagues or executives, but in most cases, I simply created the environment for people that wanted to learn by themselves. Recently, I launched a course for anyone that is interested in becoming among the best pre-sales engineers in the market. Before that, there was very little useful information available about this specific topic. In some cases, I noticed that most instructors were focusing too much on how to deliver product demonstrations, and in my experience, that is the wrong way of positioning a pre-sales engineer. You will, of course, deliver product demonstrations, but that should only be a small part of your role. Pre-sales engineers are a critical part of any technical sales processes. And the main reason for that is that we are able to influence stakeholders' decision making by teaching them something that they didn't know before. As a pre-sales engineer, you will need to get comfortable with listening and teaching people. If you let them, they will let you know all their problems. So your ability to narrow the conversation scope to something you can solve is very important. To drive the conversation where you want it to be, you need to deeply understand where the customer is coming from. They might not tell you everything at first. In order to go deeper into their problem, a simple technique is to play back what you hear. By doing that, you demonstrate that you're listening and you have the opportunity to bring the conversation back on track. Playing back what you hear also improves the confidence about your own solution in relation to the prospect's problems. Asking questions is naturally the next powerful way to demonstrate your knowledge and understanding of the current problem. It builds the credibility, the confidence, and the context to start teaching your audience, about something they didn't know before. And as you can see, these 5 steps are just common sense for anyone that wants to be a good enabler. But that is more easily said than done. In the real world, you'll be dealing with a group of people, and people have different backgrounds, concerns, and different points of view. You cannot join a discovery session with an improviser mindset. One of the main skills of engineers is to put structure to avoid the scales. Naming conventions, design patterns, solid principles, automated testing, and many other concepts can come to my mind right now. So, if you come from an engineering background, you will probably agree with me that without structure, people just get lost. And when I first started as a pre-sales engineer, there wasn't quite a process in place to ensure that I was using my time in the best possible way. I was invited into calls to engage with prospects without even knowing why I was there. There was a lot of company money waste, and personally, I can't live with inefficiency. So I focused on understanding why I was getting called into so many random meetings. In some cases, they just wanted me to listen in and so that I could give my insights later. Or they wanted me to answer some technical questions, or they wanted me to pitch that product commercially, or they wanted me to help the prospect understand about the pricing model that we had, or to simply demonstrate the product, even in cases where the customer didn't even ask for it. Clearly, there are several problems with that, but there are mainly two things. I wasn't prepared for the call, and the prospects were not prepared for me. Okay, so everyone was lost in that call. So I started building tools and processes to put order into that chaos. So user stories, for example, are a great way of structuring the use cases found in the discovery calls. ROI, or return on investment calculators, were helping the account executives understand what factors were correlated with the value proposition. A searchable repository of discovery questions was built to help with consistent answers from all the pre-sales engineers. Business impact categories and the respective metrics to those would help us work together on identifying where we would provide value to the prospects, and it would also help the prospects understand their problem. As you can see, all I did was to look back into my experience in engineering and put that in practice to make the team more efficient. I'm not gonna lie, some of these techniques just did not work at first, or maybe I just had to evolve them in order for them to work. So if you're interested, I put most of these techniques that did work into a module of the Power of PreSales course that is actually available, as I mentioned before. On each lesson, I give the foundational importance of each of them, as well as how to put them all in practice. I wanted to open for any questions if you have any. So I'm going to be looking to the chat now. So I think I'm getting a question here. Oh, yeah. Do I need any technical experience for this? Do I need to have any technical experience for this course? The answer is yes. So yeah, I find it very difficult for you to get involved in a pre-sales engineer role without any technical background. You could, of course, and I've seen some cases that I had colleagues that didn't have really a technical background, but they were really good at expressing some technical concepts at a high level. But whenever it comes to working on a daily basis, you would suffer a little bit in understanding, for example, very deep technical concepts. You could end up losing trust from the client. Or for example, if you need to build a new demonstration that goes a little bit outside of the scope of what you're used to, you could struggle and end up spending a lot of time to achieve what you wanted to achieve without the help of others, of course. And that's what was happening a lot with that particular individual. He was always requiring some help from the colleagues. So I think it's, like, long story short, I think it is quite important to have a technical experience, a technical background. You don't need to be the best at that. You can always evolve. But my recommendation is to definitely just get involved into this role if you have a technical background. Thanks for the question. Any other questions? How much time would I need to learn all the concepts and be prepared for an interview? All right, so I think again, the concept of pre-sales is quite vast and really broad. I suggest that you first of all start understanding how much of your technical background is already sufficient for that specific role, right? It could be depending on the company that you're applying for. It could require you to know a little bit more about the cloud technology or about data or about software development. So try to understand how much your background is helpful in that role, first of all. But the concepts that are generic that you would apply in that role, I think you can always learn those. And I think honestly that the Power of Pre-Sales Engineering course that I have available has all the concepts that you need to learn. And the course is about 3 hours long, and that would be extremely helpful for you to get prepared for an interview and know all the concepts, and then also reflect about how much you can bring to the interview. If an interviewer asks a question, you already know what they're talking about. For example, RFPs and RFIs, these are all acronyms that you may never heard of. So I think the course explains a little bit more about those, so you can get involved a little bit faster. Any other questions? No? There's time for one more question, and then we're going to drop today. Would there be a session on how to deliver a product demo? Yes. Well, as I said before, delivering a product demo is an important part of the role of a pre-sales engineer, but it's not everything. And in fact, funny enough you asking this, because we do have a next webinar coming on the 16th of June. So if you're interested in understanding some tips and tricks that could benefit you in the specific topic, like delivering a product demo, I recommend you to subscribe to this webinar as well. All right, so thank you so much, everyone that attended this, and I'll be sharing the recording later. And feel free to contact us at, I think I have one slide here. Yes, thank you so much for your time. So you can contact us at hello@valuefirstu.com with any questions. I'm really happy to hear any thoughts and help you out in your journey as a pre-sales engineer. Thank you so much.